Hello everybody, welcome to the 2022 Gran Turismo World Series. It is round 2. Now, up first, we have got the Manufacturers' Cup of action here today. Jimmy, we saw some really exciting racing last time we had these guys out on track at Salzburg. What do you reckon for this one?
Yeah, of course, Subaru proving they were the team to beat at Salzburg with an awesome drive from Danny Solis and Kylian Drumont. Of course, the driver down as well, worth to note. Miyazono, unfortunately, was ill with COVID, but looking forward to seeing if they can actually continue this run of form here at a very different circuit. Of course, you can see in the background Spa-Francorchamps, our track today. We'll get into that in a bit more detail, but yeah, looking forward to this one, Tom.
And we are live today in 4 different languages. Myself, Tom Brooks, and Jimmy Broadbent are live in English. We're live in Japanese, in Spanish, and in Italian as well. Let's have a look and run you through the calendar for 2022. You can see, of course, we kicked things off in July with round 1 of the World Series. Then we had the Showdown at Salzburg at the end of the month. We're here today for round 2 of the Manufacturers' Cup, followed by the Nations' Cup. Then we've got round 3 at the end of October. Then the World Finals conclude things in Monaco in November as well. We're really looking forward to seeing who we're going to crown as our champions for 2022. Let's have a look, though, shall we, at the details for the race that's coming up here today. So, as Jimmy said, Spa-Francorchamps is the venue. Group 3 cars, racing medium and soft tyres available for the drivers, and they must use both tyre compounds.
Yeah, so a bit of one-stop strategy around here. Well, we think so anyway. Someone might try and do something crazy and do a 2-stop on softs, but I doubt that's going to be the case. 10 laps, fairly short circuit, fairly short race around here. I say longer circuit, just over 7 kilometres in length. So definitely a track that's going to I think reward those who are better on their strategy than others. That soft tyre, we know it's very, very quick, so maximum use of that, I think, before taking that mandatory medium tyre.
Well, let's have a look, shall we, at the driver lineup then that is taking place here today. Kylian Drumont, the winner last time out, lines up for Subaru. Baptiste Beauvoir is there for Mercedes. Igor Fraga back at the helm for Toyota, with Mazda having Giorgio Mangano behind the wheel. Harold Volson, the Chilean driver, lines up for Nissan with Nico Romero for Genesis. Then Suzuki for Volkswagen, Inestrosa for Porsche, Tapai for Jaguar, Cassis for BMW, Carrazza for Chevrolet, and Jos Legrand, the Belgian driver, lining up there for Mitsubishi. So those are the 12 drivers who will be taking to the grid. We'll get qualifying action and an onboard lap underway for you in just a couple of moments. But first, let's recap on what's happened so far in 2022. Takuma Miyazono, it is a perfect start for Subaru. He wins for round 1 of the GT World Series.
J'ai un petit mot à dire quand même par rapport à ce qu'on a fait depuis le début de saison avec Subaru, c'est qu'on a gagné les 2 courses. Donc ça fait 3 points empochés pour la première course et 6 points du coup le week-end de Salzbourg.
Subaru win the grand final in the Manufacturers' Cup Showdown here in Salzburg.
Minha experiência na Showdown pela Manufacturers foi uma corrida bem competitiva, tinha vários pilotos de alto nível.
Well, the battle between Subaru and Mercedes was amazing, to be fair. We knew that Subaru will be really strong in the race, but AMG look currently very strong as well. That's why we finished second, just 3 seconds behind Subaru. So it's not too far on a 1 hour 40 minutes race. But yeah, that means we can still try to beat them.
On a clairement des grandes chances à performer, peut-être devenir constructeur champion du monde cette année. Donc en tout cas, on est conscient de ça. Donc avec l'équipe, on va donner le possible sur toutes les manches qui vont arriver et pour arriver à Monaco avec une belle confiance.
So we are here then for qualifying at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and we've got a special treat for you. It's a lap on board here with Jos Legrand on this historic Belgian circuit. So down to T1 there, La Source, a very tight hairpin corner. I want to try and get in as tight as possible there, almost aim to hit the wall, but of course, no, that'd be bad for your race. And we have this awesome run down to one of the most memorable corners in motor racing. It's Eau Rouge and Radion. Eau Rouge to the left, here it is, and now Radion over the crest here. Try and get as good a run as possible here, because any speed you lose here will hurt you all the way up the Kemmel Straight. So it's just foot matted to the floor here, slowly bring the car over to the left hand side of the circuit. Now look to the left, look to the curb. That's going to be our braking point, just past the end of the curb there. So bam, brake on the curb, down to third gear here, using the curbs on both sides to hook the car in for they come. And now we come to the exit, and again over to the left hand side to prepare ourselves for Rivage, a downhill braking zone here. So be careful on the brakes, easy to lock, easy to go wide here. Tuck the car in nice and neat and tidy, very nice there by Jos. And then we just set the car up for no name. It's very, very tricky left-handers. Super easy to go wide here. There's a barrier there waiting to greet you if you get it very wrong indeed. So now we go down towards Puon, one of the more fun corners on the circuit. Tuck the car in fourth gear. Let's see if Jos gets this right. Just about. Yes, double apex corner here is Puon, so you have to make sure you hit that second apex. Could use a bit more of the road on the right there, but chooses not to. Now we come into the pit path, or the Frannish chicane. A little bit understeery on the first part of that there. Misses the right hand and then has to compromise there into the left, running very wide on exits to try and maximise exit speed. Now we come into Stavlo 1 and Stavlo 2. Stavlo 1 again, deceptively tight on exit. Really easy to run wide there. Stavlo 2 a little bit more, a little bit easy to get through, a little bit looser. And now again, focus on getting that exit speed all the way up now towards Blomschimont. This very, very quick left-hander should be flat in one of his Group 3 cars. Let's see if Jos can get through there in one piece. Again, opens up the corner as much as possible, tips the car in. Really nice and neat and tidy through there. 260 Ks there. Pretty decent in the straight lines, Mitsubishi. No brake just at the 100-metre ball. Heavy on the anchors. Has to be very, very neat through the bus stop. Really easy to lose time here. A little bit of understeer through Jos through there. So not the best time from Jos Legrand. Hopefully it will be good enough for a decent position.
No, we split the drivers into two groups of 12. So here's Adriano Carrazza then for Chevrolet, just coming in towards the bus stop chicane. What are his sector times going to be? Nice run through the first part of the bus stop, then a good exit out. It's really important as you aim it to the timing line. What about Carrazza? Can he better the time set by Legrand? Yes, he can. What about Cassie then for BMW? Goes to the top of the pile at 2:13.651. So that's the first driver we've had in the 2:13 barrier.
Yeah, quick time there from Gassi, and the pie comes across the line into the 14s as well. Fairly tight there from third down to fifth. We haven't got the time for Nico Romero. We'll try and get that for you as soon as we can. Here comes Angelina Stroza in the Porsche. He goes into provisional second there on a 2:14 dead pretty much. Gassi there still 4 tenths clear of the field. Suzuki there, impressive time there for the VW driver at 2:13.8. So very close there to Gassi, but not quite quick enough to be able to dethrone him.
Yeah, not bad there at all. So this is Nicky Romero. So he is out in the second group, as is Giorgio Mangano then here for Mazda. If you remember last time out that we saw these drivers didn't necessarily go the way of Chevrolet, who we saw earlier on. They are sitting down there in 5th place on the grid. They finished 9th last time out. Here is Baptiste Beauvoir though for Mercedes AMG. They of course were very competitive when we were out in action at the Red Bull Hangar 7 in Salzburg.
Yeah, it seems like a little while ago now actually being back there. It was nice to get out and see everyone again, but of course the man of the moment was this man here, Kylian Drumont in the Subaru, who blew everyone away with his performance there at Hangar 7, and no doubt looking to try and repeat that here today in round 2 of the Manufacturers' Cup. So Nico Romero comes across the start-finish line, puts in his time, good enough for 5th. Provisionally, 2:14.2. Here comes Wilson in the Nissan, looking a little bit messy. Got to say out the bus stop there, so maybe not a great time here. Comes across the line, no. Last for now, 2:14.9.
And the disappointment of the Jimmy Broadbent Nissan fan club sadly rings out over Spa-Francorchamps here. What about Giorgio Mangano in the front engine Mazda RX Vision Gran Turismo car? Goes to the top of the pile, a 2:14.491. Now all eyes are on Igor Fraga in the Toyota. We know he's very good at putting in a hot lap, but can he take provisional pole away from the Mazda of Giorgio Mangano as he comes out of the final corner and across the line? We're about to find out. Yes, he can. A 2:13.2 for Igor Fraga. Baptiste Beauvoir is the next driver up. Out of the bus stop he comes. As we said, Mercedes very competitive when we saw them in the showdown. Can they go up the sharp end? Only 4th quickest for them, and now it is Kylian Drumont, the winner from last time out. Can he continue where he left off as he comes and aims to break the beam to the line? It's only 4th fastest, so it's pole position here for Igor Fraga. So delight then for Igor Fraga, top of the pile for himself and Team Toyota. Front row of the grid completed by Giorgio Mangano. Cassi there in 3rd place, Drumont in 4th though.
He was on a fantastic lap, and we thought actually it would be him taking the pole position, but unfortunately a small slide on his flying lap meant that he lost out a couple of attempts, enough to drop him from provisional pole down to 4th, but still a decent qualifying there for the Subaru driver.
Yeah, he lines up with compatriot Baptiste Beauvoir just behind him on the grid. Suzuki there, not bad at all from him. In Stroza will be hoping for a bit of forward progress with that Porsche. Likewise Romero for Genesis down there in P9, and Nissan as well. Harold Volson behind the wheel. He was a last-minute substitute. It was supposed to be Mehdi Hafidi who was driving for that team, but Volson stepping up to the plate at the last minute. Still a relatively competitive lap time given given the circumstances, starting from 12th on the grid. Well, don't forget, of course, you can get in touch and vote for your Michelin Driver of the Day at the Gran Turismo on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and on TikTok. We'd love you to get involved. And don't forget, of course, about the bonus campaign that's available on Gran Turismo 7 right now as well. Round 2 of the 2022 Gran Turismo World Series for the Manufacturers' Cup. We're here at Spa-Francorchamps, and here is how the grid is going to line up ahead of racing action here today. Igor Fraga for Team Toyota starts on pole position. A brilliant lap time from the Brazilian driver. He has got the Italian Giorgio Mangano for Mazda alongside. Row 2 is headed by BMW's Cassie, with Kylian Drumont, the winner from the Showdown last time out, on 4th place on the grid, with Baptiste Beauvoir heading row 3 for Mercedes. And then it is Suzuki in the Volkswagen Beetle in P6. 7th place, Angelina Stroza for the Porsche team, and then Adam Tapai joins him on the next row of the grid. Niki Romero for Genesis lines up P9, and completing the top 10 is Adriano Carrazza for Brazil for the Chevrolet team. The final row is Jos Legrand on home soil for Mitsubishi here, with Harold Velsen completing the 12-driver strong lineup. Now, all the tyre compounds are available for the drivers here, Jimmy, and only one opting for softs.
Yeah, it's Igor Fraga, of course, our pole sitter. I think he's opted for that because that car is quite quick in a straight line. He wants to be able to get away quickly, break the toe, and then make the time back in the middle sector, so that he hasn't got to deal with anyone while trying to put in the best laps possible. So interesting to see if his strategy will work there for Igor and Toyota.
Now, if you're wondering why the drivers haven't started the race yet, we're using the Spa 24-hour layout. So the start-finish line is on the run down to Eau Rouge and Radion. So it's out of La Source, then it's the run down. So the race hasn't quite started at the moment. The driver's just, of course, getting the heat into the tyres and the brakes.
I've actually stacked it here in a race before at the source under safety car at the start of the race. So luckily these guys can't do that, but always a possibility, you know.
Absolutely. Well, Igor Fraga then on the soft tyres wants to make a break early doors. Then what is he going to be able to do for Team Toyota? Can he manage to wrestle that crown back from Subaru and Kylian Drumont, who start 4th on the grid? Ready to go then for round 2 of the Manufacturers' Cup for the Gran Turismo World Series, as Igor Fraga leads the field up the rise through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time in that Toyota Supra then. So it's down the Camel Straight we go. This is where the slipstream is going to be, of course, crucially important. The field relatively spread out though due to that rolling start, so I wonder how effective it's going to be in the first portion of this lap. It's quite effective for Baptiste Beauvoir. He's already managed to get one over on Kylian Drumont on the rise up into Les Combes, so it's Beauvoir up into 4th.
Yeah, but that Subaru is like driving an old Metro down the straights. There's absolutely no grunt in it at all. But in the middle sector, it's incredibly quick. So I would not be surprised to see Drumont have a go at Beauvoir there, maybe for the middle section of this course. But meanwhile, Fraga leads from Giorgio Mangano. The gap is starting to steadily rise up a little bit. Just watch that relative there on the left-hand side of your screen, which we expect to see. That soft tyre is a little bit quicker around the circuit than the medium tyre is, but of course doesn't last as long. So you have to make sure you have your really use that tyre to its maximum potential while it's still in the window.
Well, predicted strategy for drivers starting on the soft compound tyres, so that is only Igor Fraga in this race. He's going to go on it for about 4 laps or so and then do the remainder on the medium tyres. But the thing is, that's the predicted strategy. These drivers seem to do their own thing though.
Yeah, mate, every time we get the predicted strategy I think, what, is this actually anywhere near right? Probably not, but as predicted here, there you go, Kylian Drumont is now all over the back of Baptiste Beauvoir, but I'm not sure that we're going to stay on board here with the Frenchman, but it'll be just good to show you the difference in straight line speed between this Subaru here and that AMG in front. So we come around Stavolo 2 now it's all down to that engine, all down to engine power. We are sitting in the toe, which is helping us a little bit up here, but even so, Beauvoir is actually, I think he's sort of staying where he is. I thought it'd be a bit more dramatic. He's putting away a little bit, but you're seeing now we're right at the top of 6th gear. This is where the car sort of runs out of puff a little bit, and Beauvoir's able to pull away.
Well, if you consider that to the qualifying lap that we saw with Volson just a few moments ago, he was 260 kph without a toe in the straight line. Kilian Drumont there, I know of course he might be running a different fuel map or something along the lines of that, but he was only 247 kph, so quite a sizable difference.
Yeah, sad. I think we'll be thinking sad. But Fraga there, good first lap from him. This is what he needs to do for this race. He's 2.5 seconds now ahead of Giorgio Mangano in the Mazda behind. Because he's doing a good job there in the Bimmer, still holding on to third place with Beauvoir in fourth. There's a bit of a train all the way down to about 10th place. Legrand and Wilson unfortunately have fallen off the back of the pack a little bit around here. But otherwise, it's just a bit of a slipstream fight now, which it's always very entertaining to watch.
Well, the thing is as well, when you're racing in a pack like this, if you make a mistake, it can't only cost you time, but it'll cost you 2 or 3 positions quite possibly here as well. So let's go on the rise then up towards the Kemmel Straight, on the Kemmel Straight, and on the rise up towards Lake Coombe, I should say rather. And you can see Tapai pulling out of the slipstream here of Suzuki. Side by side they come on the brakes. Tapai's on the inside, he's got track position. Suzuki tries to hold it firm into the left-hander. Bit of contact between the two, that pushes Tapai out wide. He's going to push him onto the curb. Is he going to be compromised into the right-hander and have to relinquish that position? Well, they still run side by side on the run downhill in towards Rivage. And the thing is, it's opened the door here for Nicky Romero and Angel Inestrosa as well. So it is still Suzuki in front, but look at Nicky Romero now leaning on Inestrosa. They're going to flick it left though. Inestrosa will have track position and does manage to hold firm in that Porsche for now.
Tell you what, Tapai did a good job there not to just launch it into the wall after that contact. And I always think that happened to Tapai. Every time I see him on the screen, he's around 7th and he picks up a penalty or gets in some sort of contact. So I'm hoping that he can prove us wrong today, do it better in that Jag. Speaking of which, I know this has probably been a couple of rounds now, but they've got different liveries on. They've got nice new shiny liveries, which I've only just noticed now. So please don't judge me too harshly at home. But they're really nice. I'm quite enjoying them.
Yeah, they do. This Genesis, of course, is brand new for 2022 as well. We had a trackside talk when we were last out at the Red Bull Hangar 7 in Salzburg. Great to welcome Genesis to the Gran Turismo family. Good to see Nicky Romero piloting that machine though as well. They'll be hoping for a bit more forward progress though, sitting down there in 9th position so far in this race. But you can see just half a car length or so between Inestrosa and Romero compared to the gap of him in front.
Yeah, so the gaps will start to widen out a little bit now. And speaking of widening the gap, Fraga, 4 seconds now to Giorgio Mangano as we come round to start another lap. We'll do very shortly. Again, I have to try and remember on the different layout here. It's confusing for my brain slightly. But yeah, really good stint from Fraga so far. I wonder how long he can make that soft tyre last for. That's the thing around here. So we've noticed with the GT series that basically it's the soft tyre is the goat tyre. You're trying to stay on that as long as you can. The medium tyre is only being used out of necessity now. We'll get back to that discussion in a minute. It's interesting, I just saw Beauvoir lift a little bit there on the way up towards Rouge and Miraggio. I think just to get a better run now over the top, and he has done now. He's got a run on Cassis, so go to the inside with the AMD. Now it should be just a simple factor of driving past with straight line speed. That BMW is not making it easy. Just about by now. There you go, nice, and Baptiste Beauvoir up into 3rd place in that AMG.
Eric Cassie then down into 4th, so let's see what happens here for Cassie, because it'll be interesting to see whether Kilian is going to be able to close that deficit down. Of course, Kilian is outside of the slipstream range. It's about 1.1 seconds, and he's right on the fringes of that. But of course, we know that Subaru is not very quick in a straight line. Inestrosa, bit late on the brakes as he goes into the back of Adam Tapai in towards Rivage. Has to just back out of it. The thing is, that backs up to Romero and Carrazza in turn there as well. And we're used to seeing Inestrosa running sort of in the lower half of the top 10 in this Porsche, but we're also used to seeing him making a couple of errors like this.
Yeah, I mean, he's never one of these sort of, what I like to say, hot-headed drivers. They're really, really quick if everything aligns for them. If not, they tend to get a bit more frustrated, tend to get involved in more incidents. I like Anger. I think he's got really good speed. But recently, this is where we're used to seeing him in this part of the field. Obviously, of course, that could be down to BOP, which is balance of performance or balance of power, depending on who you talk to, which is basically how these cars are tuned so they can race against each other. I mean, these cars are all vastly different, of course, and homologated to the Group 3 rules that we have here in Gran Turismo. So it's hard to do that when everything's different shapes, different sizes, and I think the Subaru is probably the best case of that, where to try and make that balance of his cars, it's very slow on the straight but incredibly fast in the corners due to how light it is.
No further action, the stewards have deemed, between Suzuki and Tapai. We saw that a couple of laps ago. Suzuki there has just pulled out a bit of a gap here, as you can see. Inestrosa once again getting really close there onto the back of Tapai, coming in towards the bus stop. Here's Giorgio Mangano then for Mazda. Now Mazda, of course, qualified second on the grid. They've had good pace here at Spa-Francorchamps this weekend, and they could do with a nice strong result. Mangano, I think, could do with it just for a bit of confidence.
Yeah. He does, man. I mean, I think it's nice to see him running so high. He's always sort of been on the fringes, you know what I mean? And he hasn't been able to break through ever since that first victory once upon a time back at 2018 Nürburgring. I'm not sure I mentioned that enough. Maybe I mentioned it again. Interestingly, I'm not sure why they gave Inestrosa a warning there. I know it was a bit of contact, but it's just rubbing his racing incident, you know. Just there was nothing a foul there, but I guess the stewards wanted to make sure there's none of that there. I was seeing a bit of contact on the straight. It looks like a cloud of dust being kicked up as Carrazzo, I think, maybe tried to get by Romero, or Romero's just got by Carrazzo. I'd love to see a replay of what happened there, but Carrazzo running fairly out of position, I think it's fair to say. Oh, sideways there. I think he's warmed up those tyres a little bit. We know that once you get these tyres warm in Gran Turismo, they're fairly hard to cool down again. A couple of corners of suffering until you get the tyre grip back.
Yeah, you've got to keep it in the right operating window, and sliding around like that is not going to be the opportune way in order to be able to keep it. You can see there another slide coming through X as well there for Carrazzo, for Carrazzo, I should say, rather, who we're riding on board with. So I do think that he's just beginning to push the envelope a little bit here. Running on board with Kylian Drumont. Nice calm atmosphere down there for him at the moment, not looking like he's too under pressure. And the thing is, he's a young driver, 18 years old. He'd had such maturity last time out, really driving beyond his years.
Yeah, definitely. And we know he's got the talent to go with that as well. So, illegal blocking there. So that's what happened on the straight. We'll get back to that when we know what's happened. So I'm just thinking, if I'm Drumont now, surely you come in early and take a risk, go onto the soft tyres and try and make a muss, undercut everyone, because you're not going to get by anyone on the straights round here in that car. You are quicker in the corners. So really maximise that, get in now and hope for the best. He won't be able to undercut Fraga, who's now actually pitting in now. So those soft tyres only lasting 4 laps here. I expect them to go a bit longer on that. So Fraga obviously thinking the tyres are suffering, coming in to change onto the medium compound. He won't need to take any fuel, nor will anyone else in this race. So it's just all about tyre strategy here. And I'll be interested to see where he emerges. The worst thing he can possibly have is coming out in this gag of the car. So let's see where he comes out.
Well, the thing is, the GT strategists will have breathed a sigh of relief after that one, because actually their strategy worked out perfectly. He did pit at the end of lap 4. So let's see as he comes through into the pit lane. And of course, they are using the 24-hour layout, so it is a different pit lane here compared to the Grand Prix layout. It'll be no fuel, just tyres here for Igor Fraga. In off the softs, straight on to the mediums. I think he's going to emerge in a nice bit of clear air here, and obviously right towards the back, because the rest of the field's relatively bunched up. Warning there for Nicky Romero for illegal blocking. We haven't seen exactly what happened. That does now mean that as Fraga comes out of the pits, there is quite a sizable gap in front of him, as he's just going to be able to sort of run his own pace, which, as you said, Jimmy, is exactly what he really needs.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that makes the two-stop here not very favourable is just how long that pit lane is. It's such a long pit stop here, so you want to try and stay out of the pits as much as possible, which sounds like a very simple thing to say, but sometimes people don't think about it that way. And you can see now the difference in speed between this Subaru and the BMW in front. Drumont able to just drive up to the rear of that BMW, but isn't able to go anywhere. Then we come down the straight here, and you can see just under acceleration he loses a couple of car lengths, which puts him in a position where he again can't really do anything but follow. So this will be a frustrating race for the guys at Subaru. The circuit really not suiting the car at all, but of course that's the name of the game, Manufacturers' Cup. Some circuits are better for you and some circuits are worse.
Well, the thing is that Subaru's really quick in the twisty bits, as we've seen, but he's also going to be stuck behind Cassie here. Do you think dirty air is going to be a thing for wearing out those front tyres too?
Yeah, probably a little bit. I mean, they're not as big as we see in one of the Formula cars or something like that. But these Group 3 cars still do produce a fair bit of downforce, so you will still be feeling the effects of that. But the best car for that really is a Subaru, because it handles so well. But Kylian would definitely be feeling that. So our race leader-elect, so to speak, right now is Giorgio Mangano. He still owes a pit stop. I'm not sure they're going to be pitting early, though. We've seen how little time that soft lasted for. So maybe we'll see Giorgio coming the end of this lap onto the soft. Let's see what he does. Does he appeal into the pit lane? Just watching now on our screens. I think he does. It's hard to tell because we've come away from him. Yeah.
A couple of drivers have come in.
Yeah.
Mangano's coming, Drumont's come in there as well as Suzuki. So that's 3 drivers into the pits. Interesting though, Beauvoir opting for the overcut, as well as Eric Cassie. So they're opting to do a different strategy. So talk us through that then, Jimmy. So these guys 3 drivers have come in at the sort of top 10. A couple of drivers have carried on. Why is that?
Well, let's just talk about the terms, I guess. Undercut is when you come in before the guys ahead of you and try and gain track position by having a fast out lap and a fast in lap whilst on fresher tyres on your out lap. And you see that a lot in things like Formula 1. Overcut is sort of the opposite of that. It's thinking, you know what, I've been held up by these guys for so long and maybe if I pit now I might get released into traffic. So I'm going to go a bit longer, try and make this tyre work, and so by the time I then get to the end of the race, I've one, got a fresher tyre, and two, hopefully still got a gap in front. The overcut is more difficult to pull off though, I would say that much.
Igor Fraga, of course, on a different strategy compared to the rest of the field. Started on the soft tyres, now on the mediums for the end of the race as Drummond emerges from the pit lane. Of course, Fraga now managing to make forward progress in this one as everybody else makes the pit stop around him. So everybody else who has pitted that is now on the soft compound of tyre, quite a sizable gap there, 7.1 seconds. So that's working out quite nicely for Fraga. He's just able to continue running his own race in clear air. And let's see if this is going to be a strategy that works out quite nicely for him once the remaining 6 drivers come into the pits.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one progresses. We tend to have this in the Gran Turismo online races. It's all about strategy. So we get this a few laps of sort of preamble, and suddenly in the last 2-3 laps it all comes alive. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Fraga can do. I mean, he's in a great position. Fraga, he's currently 7th, made his pit stop, leader of the pitters so far, 7 seconds clear of Giorgio Mangano, which is a big chunk. Now Giorgio will gain some of that time back on that soft tyre, but he's got a lot to do, and then he's got to pass Igor as well. That's the main thing, because we know Igor can be, from past World Tour events, can be tricky to pass around here. Some people might not remember that too much.
Oh, my phone's going. It's Mikhail Hizal. Goodness me. Now Igor Fraga then still continuing on there in 7th place. Now is Baptiste Beauvoir, Eric Cassy et al. Going to come into the pits? Yes, they are. Likewise in Astroza. So I think the remaining 6 drivers who haven't made their pit stops are going to come in on this lap, go on to the soft compound of tyres, and let's see how it works out here then for Igor Fraga. He's coming through Blanchimont. Let's not forget, of course, that pit lane is not only through the old pit lane, the Grand Prix pit lane, but they've got to go through into the 24-hour pit lane as well in order to be able to take that stop. So I think Fraga is going to have a fair amount of time in his pocket here, because of course he was able to run in clear air. It's working out quite nicely then for the Brazilian driver. But let's wait and see then. So into the pits comes Baptiste Beauvoir for Mercedes-AMG. Off the medium tyres, onto the soft tyres. Just a reminder, no fuel of course for these drivers in this race either.
The person to watch now is Kylian Drummond. Has he been able to jump Baptiste Beauvoir and the like in the pit stop? So let's see. Drivers going by now. That was Igor Fraga on the way by, up towards Radion to retake the lead, as we thought he would do. Let's see where Beauvoir and Cassy is, and more importantly, where the rest of the field is. So coming up the pit lane now, as we watch Igor Fraga, which is very helpful for us at the moment.
Penalty for Beauvoir here. That might compound his woes.
3 seconds.
So what has happened here? So he hasn't managed to emerge. Managed to emerge in front of Kylian Drummond. So it's not worked out for Drummond, but it's going to be academic really here, because a 3-second penalty will drop him not only behind Drummond, but possibly into the clutches of Suzuki and Cassy here too.
Sometimes I think he's upset someone at Gran Turismo, the amount of penalties he gets. But obviously that isn't the case, to put a disclaimer there. But 3-second penalty. We're not quite sure what that's for. That must have been near some issue into the pit lane, maybe using the wall to slow down or something like that, or maybe making a mistake. We've seen that in the past, people are doing that. But importantly for Kylian Drummond, he's now right up behind Baptiste Beauvoir. He's cleared the rest of the field pretty much, but he needs to get by fairly quickly, because Baptiste Beauvoir is going to be slowing him down, giving him a flash as well, saying, listen mate, come on, you've got a penalty, get out of the way. But of course Beauvoir's going to keep driving hard until he's got to serve that penalty.
Well, absolutely, that penalty zone is not too far adrift either, so let's see how this is going to affect things here for Kylian Drummond. Meanwhile, look at this with Suzuki now with Cassy. So all the drivers have made their pit stops, so these are battles for position. No other strategy to come into play until the conclusion of this race. Big old wiggle coming through the chicane there for Beauvoir as well. So I think there's just that frustration coming into play here as he now enters the penalty zone. So 3 seconds then for Beauvoir. It's not only the 3 seconds for the penalty, it's the time you lose after that as well. Don't forget, so he pulls sensibly there off of the racing line, moves out of the way of Cassy, moves out of the way of Suzuki, etc., and rejoins in 7th place. That 3 seconds would have felt like a fortnight.
I have to wonder how many holes there are in Baptiste's wall at home. You know, like this guy, if I had the performances he had online every time, there'd be, you know, my fist would be through that wall pretty much every occasion. But he's a fighter, we'll give him that, and I'm sure he'll try and come back through the field and retake that 3rd place, but very unlikely with the laps remaining.
Well, we haven't seen exactly what happened, but let's say that it was some kind of an error. I mean, let's be honest, he didn't have the best luck in round 1. If you remember, he spun out on the final lap when he was leading at Watkins Glen very commandingly. Last time out at the World Series Showdown was let's be honest, rather upstaged by his younger compatriot. Very happy to see him up there, he was, but needs a bit of a rejig in terms of his performance. Needs to try and get some confidence back in to his race, and it's not working out for him at all down there in 7th. Meanwhile, Suzuki's coming under pressure here from Cassie as they come up the Kemmel Straight and in towards Lake Coombe. It's going to be a nice easy taking here, and Tapai says I'll have that as well, so 2 for the price of 1.
It's tricky around here at Spa. You can see now Tapai just about squeezing through on Suzuki, but that VW also seemingly struggling for that top speed on the straight and just not able to keep the blaze on off into the runoff there. That wouldn't have done him any favours as he slows down now into Rivage. Yeah, that VW, I think another car that isn't really made for Spa. It just seems to be going backwards now. He was just behind Kylian Drumont when he came out the pits, and now that gap's up to about 4 or 5 seconds between him and the Frenchman, so really struggling for pace there is Suzuki.
Do you think that could be down to the wheelbase? Because I think that wheelbase of that Volkswagen is a little bit shorter than, say, the likes of the Jag and the BMW in front.
I'd say it's because it's the VW Beetle that's being made into a racing car.
Oh, and it's got the aerodynamic properties of a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, speaking of the 2-bedroom house, Nissan GTR is currently in last by quite some way, so Wilson not having a great time, and Nissan fanboys, just stand down for now, boys. Our time will come.
Igor Fraga still 5.1 seconds out in front in this race for Team Toyota. Brilliant job so far from the Brazilian, and great for them to carry some points into the World Finals and of course into World Series 3 before that later in the year as well. Still a couple of laps though remaining, and still some battles to be had in this race, mainly Suzuki and also Baptiste Beauvoir, who's going to have the red mist descending because he's got Romero and Suzuki in front of him, but he's got Inestrosa, who we know is not afraid of getting his elbows out. We've seen that on a couple of occasions where he, even in this race, has got a little bit too friendly with the car in front, and I wonder how this is going to play out towards this conclusion, because if you've got 2 drivers behind you, the 2 that you don't want are a fiery Beauvoir and a fiery Inestrosa.
Or just fire in general.
Where are you getting these from?
Fire bad. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you'll be in your mirror thinking, oh no, what's going to happen here? And speaking of oh no, Suzuki up the hill here, and he's going to be just a sitting duck on this straight. All he can do, I mean, he's done the best he can to try and make a gap, but it's not going to work. Romero there in the Genesis has the toe. Oh, nearly actually swiped him on the way through there, but popped out at the last minute just to get the maximum possible slipstream on the way up to Lake Common. He's made that work and up into 6th place.
The thing is, Tapai and Cassie are not too far up the road. I think it might be a bridge too far, but you never know. If those 2 get into battle and start backing themselves up, it might open up the opportunities here from this possible 4-way scrap to becoming a 6-way scrap for 4th place. So let's see what happens here. Nico Romero then, we ride on board with him, just sort of sitting in the middle of this sandwich at the moment. Now he's managed to get the better of Suzuki. Can he manage to close that gap down to Tapai in front?
So Mangano at the moment is catching Igor Fraga, but unfortunately not by enough. It's about 2 seconds a lap, he's quicker, 1.5 seconds a lap. It needs a bit more than that. And also, based on the tyre graphic, his rear tyres are just absolutely lunched at the moment. 34% I think I saw there on that rear tyre. So he's going to have a lot of trouble getting that car out of the tighter corners. And to be honest, with only a lap and a half remaining, it's going to be a lot for Igor Fraga to not win this race.
4.1 seconds the gap is down to. Last time around in terms of the lap times, Fraga a 2:16.2, Mangano a 2:14.7, but as you say, I think those tyres might be coming towards the end of their shelf life, because the front tyres, especially on Mangano's car, were looking a little bit second-hand. Tyre wear multiplier was at time 6, so 6 laps is the equivalent to 1. Therefore, he is going to be suffering from some quite severe tyre wear. Final lap time then here, we can see Beauvoir diving to the inside of Suzuki and getting all at sea there as Romero and Beauvoir on the outside then here. So we're 3 wide on the exit, Romero in the middle, Beauvoir on the outside, as well as Suzuki now in front, and here comes the Chilean driver of Inestrosa as well, coming towards the outside. They're all getting really close for company here. Romero versus Inestrosa on side by side as they come on the run down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Inestrosa managing to get the better of Romero for the time being. The big loser in all of that was Beauvoir.
Big sense coming here though, because Suzuki, we know he's slow in a straight line in that VW. Here comes Inestrosa in the Porsche. He's going to actually push Push Suzuki down the straight, try and get a bump draft. So they're all vying, pushing 3 wide now as you come up towards the Lacombe corner, and Romero's taking both of them. 2 for 1, cheers mate, he says. Up into 6th place goes Romero. In a Stroza, going to try and get a long way around, take a place from Suzuki. He does do that, and now both Wire is there as well. So Suzuki, just like that, down to 8th place, and he might even go down to 9th.
It's not over yet either, because it's under investigation from the stewards here as well. Suzuki's had a little bit wide there into Rivage. Beauvoir's getting his elbows out. I think there might have been a smattering of contact between those two drivers as they come through the left-hander of Ixon on the run down towards Pouon. So you sense a bit of desperation creeping in here for Baptiste Beauvoir. He'd have to be a very brave man to send it down the inside into Pouon there, and thankfully he thinks better of it. But it's not been a race to remember for Baptiste in this one. The gap at the front has come down to about 3.5 seconds, so I think if Fraga continues on, he'll have enough in his back pocket for the time being. But there you can see Beauvoir piling the pressure onto Suzuki. It's got to be the bus stop, hasn't it? He's going to think about making this move.
I reckon he must do. I mean, Beauvoir, of course, just now fighting for pride, and he knows he can take that place away. So maybe a last-minute lunge into the bus stop for Baptiste, but only for 8th place. He'll be very, very disappointed with that. We expect him to finish much higher. But of course, this race really belongs to the man at the front. Igor Fraga coming through the bus stop chicane now.
Absolutely, Igor Fraga, what a brilliant race it has been for him as he comes out of the bus stop chicane across the timing line to take the checkered flag. It is the win in the Manufacturers' Cup for World Series 2 for Igor Fraga and Team Toyota. Mangano comes home second, Drumont in 3rd place for Subaru, another podium and World Series points on the board for him. Cassie, Tapai, Romero in a Stroza manages to get the better of Baptiste Beauvoir. Carazza in 9th, Suzuki down to 10th at the checkered flag ahead of Legrand and Harold Volson. So a dramatic end to the Manufacturers' Cup. Delight for Fraga and Toyota. Delight for Igor Fraga and Team Toyota on top once again here then at Spa-Francorchamps. 3 World Tour points with Giorgio Mangano and Kylian Drumont taking the remaining ones. Disappointment though for Baptiste Beauvoir. That 3-second penalty that he got, we found out now from cutting the pit exit line, dropped him down to 8th.
Yeah, real shame really, but the rules are the rules, and of course everyone else managed to abide by them. Unfortunately, Baptiste, just a slight error there, but as you say, that's all it takes. It's so close in these races that a small error like that is the difference between him finishing perhaps 3rd and finishing 8th instead, so real shame for him.
Well, a strong result also for BMW there in 4th place with Cassie, then Tapai for Jaguar in 5th, Romero in 6th, another strong finish on the board for Genesis ahead of Porsche for Inestrosa, then Beauvoir down in 8th place after that penalty, Carazza in 9th, Suzuki finishing inside the top 10, Jos Legrand on home soil at Spa in 11th, and Harold Velson for Nissan down in 12th. It's time then for the podium ceremony. 3rd place for Team Subaru and Kylian Drumont. 1 World Series point to take forward in their title bid. Delight for the Frenchman, another strong drive from him and the team. 2nd place for Giorgio Mangano and Mazda back on the box once again. A really good drive for the rotary machine and the Italian driver. And delight as well for the winners, Igor Fraga and Team Toyota. They were untouchable here at Spa-Francorchamps today. It is the top step of the podium for them in round 2 of the World Series. Well then, let's hear from Igor Fraga after that historic race win. So how important was qualifying so that you could get that good start on soft tyres and then pull away?
Yeah, the qualifying was very important. I knew I had a good car for qualifying. For the race, I actually didn't know how the car would react on the high fuel consumption and tire wear as well. But at the end, I did very well. So it was very key to start at the front and be able to just put some good pace since the beginning.
So was it as easy as it looks, or was it still quite stressful even though you had that big cushion?
Yeah, definitely it's a little bit easier, but you still get a little nervous because it's those type of events. But sometimes when you get nervous, it's actually better than be fully relaxed. Because I think you become more aware of a lot of things. So yeah, I think it was a good balance. And yeah, I was actually a bit surprised because Mazda didn't start on the soft. Because our car is like, really good at top speed, but not so much on the corners. And at the beginning, like Mazda was able to fall a little bit even with the mediums. So if they started on soft, I think this could have been a little bit different. But yeah, I'm just happy to be able to, finish in P1 this time.
Well, we saw how competitive everybody was in Salzburg. So as we head towards the World Finals, how important was that victory for Team Toyota?
Yeah, it's very important. As you said, it's getting really close with all the other constructors. So adding very important points for the World Final will be crucial. And yeah, we still have to keep this momentum up, the consistency to get as much as point as we can.
Well, that does bring an end to the Manufacturers' Cup here for round 2 of the GT World Series. We're next in action on October the 9th for the Nations Cup. From Jimmy Broadbent and from myself, Tom Brooks, thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you then.